As you can see, it's raining in lovely Stockton, California. Still doing a couple things to this shit. Now, I did make a mistake on my last video. Not a mistake really, but I just left out a lot of shit, man, because I was just kind of in a rush. People kept asking where's the video, so I was just kind of quick to put one out. One thing someone pointed out that I did forget was the fuel lines. Those are the stock 4-cylinder ones there. I mean, I guess if you absolutely could not get your hands on any V8 fuel lines, any V8 fuel lines from EFI will work. 87 to 93, probably 86 to 93, honestly. I'm not sure though, but, and I'm gonna give you guys another tip right now on the brake lines. But that right there, that's the 4-cylinder stock ones. I'm guessing if you can't get your hands on some V8 ones, you can probably just get the little push fittings on there, the AN fittings, and then run AN lines to the V8 fuel rails. But if not, then you change that, get that from the V8 car. It'll pretty much run alongside here, and it'll pretty much end around here and hook up to the rails. Now, brake lines. The V8 brake lines are different. They run along the driver's side, and then the junction point is right above the rear end housing. It has like a rubber line. I personally do not change all that. I drove this car for about a year as a 4-cylinder. My Coyote swap has the same thing. Every single 4-cylinder swap I've done, when I put the V8 rear end in it, the junction point on the V8 rear end is right on top of the housing. The junction point on the 4-cylinder rear end, I have one. Let me go show it to you guys real quick. Hold on. Actually, I'm just gonna show you guys on my notch over here. It's a lot easier. So, fuck. Let me see if you can even see. So on the V8, the junction point, meaning where it converts from hard line to rubber line. Trying to focus this. No, you can't really see, but the junction point is right on top of the rear end here. If you've seen a V8 8.8, you'll know it's right at top there. Here goes the fucking train again. And that's where it joins. Now the 4-cylinder brake lines join up here. Has the little breather right there, and that's where they join. The hard line, fuck, I'm sorry, man, it's dark as shit. Let me back up so you guys can see what I'm looking at. I don't think I could turn the flash on once I've started. But the hard line, where does it end? Where the fuck is it? It's right here. Fuck. Yeah, this isn't working. But anyway, the hard line ends right around above the tailpipe. You'll see it right there. Kind of see it, but the hard line goes right there. Now, instead of swapping the whole hard line from the front to back, what I do is I get the V6 brake lines from a 94, 95. I believe 96 might work as well. But see that hard line on the rear end that goes from caliper to caliper? That's from a V6 SN95. Has to be from the 94. I want to say 95 only, maybe 96, because the newer ones like 97, 98 and all that, they're at the frame. Two separate brake lines. But this one here is from a V6. It bolts right up. All the fittings are the same. Literally, you just plug it in, and then it hooks up to the Foxbody 4-cylinder junction point. So instead of changing all the V8 brake line that pretty much runs alongside of the fuel line, all I do is swap the rear end brake line, because regardless if you're going from drum to disc, it's not going to be the same. So I keep the 4-cylinder brake lines and just swap the brake line on the housing itself. And the 4-cylinder Foxbody has the same thread, the same joining point as the V6 SN95. Another thing, there's a little canister inside of the fender that eventually hooks up to those right there, or it comes out from right there, and then it hooks up to one of those. That's another canister you're gonna have to add inside the fender. It already has one. You're gonna have to add the smaller of the two. One's like a big ball, one's like a little cylinder shaped one. I just took off the splash guard and reached up in there and bolted on in the stock location. Again, 4-cylinder V8s, it's the same body, the same holes. That's why Foxbodies have so many holes, because they're used. For example, this hole here, you're not going to use that on a V8, but you will use it on a 4-cylinder. So that's why they have all these fucking holes. Look like a Jason mask. I have a 93 Cobra booster with a 93 Cobra master cylinder that I'm swapping out. That's another thing you're going to have to do. Throttle cable also going to have to be swapped out. The V8 one is different. I do have one of those. And then if you're going from auto to stick, that line right there, that like gray colored one, that's the Speedo cable for the 4-cylinder or any automatic at that. It's gonna run through where the clutch line should be. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to move that one to this hole here that's plugged up. On a V8, that hole will already have the Speedo cable. On a automatic 4-cylinder or 5.0, it's gonna be plugged up because the Speedo cable runs through here. That one is not used. What you gotta do is put the clutch cable through there, Speedo cable through that, and then everything mounts up the same. As far as that, I've already changed this AC accumulator. It's a different one. Ran it over here. This line is the same. That's going to remain. I have the other line that hooks up from here to the AC compressor as well. I do have a tubular K member I'll be putting on, although the K member is the same from the V8 to the 5.0. This is a steering shaft that I made. Basically, I just cut off the rag joint, get a U joint. If anybody wants that partner, let me know. They're like 35 bucks on eBay. This is the exact same thing Maxim Motorsport is going to sell you for 400 bucks. Other than that, this vacuum tree, you can change it. I have the V8 one that I'm going to swap out. These little, I think they're like EGR solenoids. Those are different. I'm going to clean everything up. This is all just going in there as of right now. I have a radiator is the same. I'm running a 4-cylinder radiator on my Coyote. It's the same exact shit. Let's move on to the inside real quick. Ghetto as shit, man. It's raining. I got my coupe in the garage and a NSX in the garage, so this is staying out here. Alright, so I didn't do it like a step-by-step on this because I'm pretty sure you guys know how to do this. Taking off the cluster, you're going to swap out. Everything on the cluster from the 4-cylinder will work besides the RPM. The RPM is going to be all over the place. So really, if you have a cluster, you could swap these pieces out. Same thing I did on my Coyote. The 4-cylinder one only goes to 6K. The V8 one goes to 7K. So really, you can just swap out this piece from the backside. It's a little tedious, but you can swap that out and you're good. Everything else will work. Speedometer is going to be off, obviously, depending on your year. I think 87 to 89 had 85, and then after that, it goes to 120, 140. I'm not sure. Again, man, try to get your donor car the same year. Actually, don't try. Make sure your donor car is the same year. Obviously, 93 is going to be the hardest one to find because it's pretty harness specific. My donor car is a late 92, which is the same thing as the 93. Look up your years, man. I'm not 100% sure on those. I know 87 is its own. 88 to 89 might be the same, and then 90 is its own, and then 91, 92 are its own, and then 93 is its own. So that's from off the top of my head. Do your research. Don't quote me on that. So I took that off, took the steering column out. Makes it a lot easier to get to the pedals. The pedal box is bolted in. There's a bolt up there, 4 on the firewall. Get as much shit out the way as you can. What I do, those hard to reach pedals, when I was younger, when I was like fucking 16, take me hours, man, doing it with a little ratchet, turn by turn. Get a couple extensions. It's gonna have to be probably like 3 feet long, 2.5 feet long, and you fucking just get these things from right there. There's one there, one up top there, clear shot at it. You see it right there. Just use extensions, man. Don't use try to use a wrench. None of that shit. Extensions, man. That's the only way to do it. Another shot there and another shot there. Easy as fuck. Within 5 minutes, you can take it out. Not even that. Pull down the pedals. It's going to be kind of hard. Just work the motherfuckers out there. You might need like a little pry bar to get them off. Pull the fucking pedals out. And then throw in your new ones. That's where I'm at right now. To buy today, I should have the pedals out. V8 pedals in. Aluminum clutch quadrant. Not V8 pedals, I'm sorry. 5-speed pedals. Same. If you got a 4-cylinder that you're swapping to a V8 and it's already a 5-speed, don't worry about none of that shit. Technically, you can use a transmission too. The input shaft diameter is a little bit smaller on the 4-cylinder. There's a Ranger pilot bearing that you could pick up the slack with that, and the gearing is obviously different on the 4-cylinder, but from what I've seen, you could throw a 4-cylinder T5 in a V8 and you'll have no issues. It'll feel like you got like 410s though. So that pedals are gonna go in. 93 Cobra booster, 93 Cobra master cylinder. I might take off this shifter. I'm keeping this in case I do a Coyote swap on something else later. The 4-cylinder shifter is the best for the Coyote swap shifters. Everything else, like I said, all the other knobs, AC, all that bullshit's gonna work. Speedo cable here. One little tip, the Speedo cable. I personally always run Let me see if I could get a shot of it, man. I personally always run the one without cruise control. The one with cruise control is going to have that black and blue sensor right there. It's the vehicle speed sensor. And they always fucking leak. Those are very prone to leaking. I personally don't run those. I just get the one that's, it's like $1 cheaper or some shit, so it really doesn't matter. But I get the one that has no cruise control, so it doesn't have a sensor. Literally just like a plug to the transmission. You put the little tooth on there. I got a tooth from LMR for 373 grids, which is what this has. And it'll never fucking leak. It's just a metal plug that goes into it and it has a tooth at the end. So that's another thing. If you're going to do a clutch quadrant, do it now. So far, that's it, man. Another thing, exhaust. Obviously, get all of the hangers from your donor car. Again, man, don't try to piece this shit together, man. I made that mistake one time, buying the fuel line separate, the harness separate, everything separate. Try to just buy a donor car. Even if you pay a little bit more for it, man, you're not going to be searching for these little bits and small pieces. Hangers, for example, for the exhaust. Fuel lines. These are things that are getting harder and harder to find. I know the hangers, they sell them, but V8 fuel lines are harder to find. Pedal boxes are harder to find. Remember, they used to be like 20, 30 bucks. They're going for like 200 bucks now. Clusters are hard to find. Just buy a fucking V8, even if you pay a little bit more for it. Take what you need, sell what you don't need. Believe it or not, man, I paid 500 bucks for my donor car. It's a piece of shit, and I've probably already made my money off of it. I sold the hatch to somebody. I sold the dash harness for like, fucking 50 bucks. I sold a different harness for 100 bucks. I sold some like a body harness for like 50 bucks. I sold the wheels on it for like 150 bucks. So I pretty much got all my money back. Fuel pump, sending unit, hanger, all of that shit is the exact same. Fuel tank itself is the same. So if you got a good fuel pump in your donor car, just throw the whole fucking fuel tank in there. Swap them out or drop the tank, take the hanger out, put the fuel pump in. You're going to need a V8 fuel pump. The 4-cylinder fuel pump, I believe, don't quote me, but I believe it is not the same. I don't know why they would put what's the stock one, like 110 or 190 or whatever. I don't think they'd put that in a 4-cylinder. So it might be different. It might be the same. I don't know. But I always swap them out anyway because it's an old part. Why do you want to keep using that shit? That's pretty much it for now. If I forgot anything, or you guys think I forgot anything, let me know. There's a lot of information in here. So listen to it. Look at it. Yeah, if you guys got anything to add, anything to ask, man, just comment and then let me know. I'm trying to keep up with all these videos, man. It's honestly, I've just wasted, what, like 30, 40 minutes, taking videos and shit like that. Yes, I know it's only like a 10-minute video, but still. It is a fucking hassle, man, but nobody has a how-to 4-cylinder to V8 swap, and the swap has been done for over 20 years. So yeah, these are Coyote seats, by the way. Check out these brackets, though. They bolt up like stock. They just have a little thing to lift them. And you can change the rails and whatnot, but they sit like perfect, dude. The Coyote ones just sit way too low. But yeah, that's the update right there. Car looks like shit. Got shit everywhere. But let me know if you guys need anything, you want to add something, man.